Now that you've played around with some of the motion blocks, we're going to go through some of the other blocks and see what they do. The first thing that I'm going to do is click and drag my glide block back into the middle of the screen to erase it. You can also right-click on blocks and click delete to get rid of them as well. We should have a when flag clicked block and a reset block that puts Scratch the Cat at 0, 0, back in the center of the screen every time we click the green flag. Our next group of blocks are the look blocks. These blocks change the way that Scratch the Cat looks. The first set of blocks just cause Scratch the Cat to say or think something that you type in for a certain period of time. For example, if I want Scratch the Cat to say, "Welcome to Dev Day Yuma," I can just drag that block in, change the message, and then click the green flag, and he'll say "Welcome to Dev Day Yuma" for 2 seconds. If I want him to say that for longer, I can change it to 4 seconds. The think block is very, very similar. The only difference is that it causes a thought bubble instead of a word bubble. I can type in, "I think Dev Day Yuma is awesome," change the number to 4 seconds, and hit the green flag, and Scratch the Cat will think, "I think Dev Day Yuma is awesome." We also have blocks for showing and hiding Scratch the Cat. If we click the green flag after using a show block, nothing will happen because Scratch the Cat is already showing. But if we use a hide block first, you'll notice that he disappears and he won't come back until we use a show block. You'll use this in later exercises to show and hide your different objects. We also have blocks to switch Scratch's costume, or the way he looks. If you click on the Costumes tab in the middle here, you'll notice that Scratch has 2 costumes that just make him look like he's walking. If we want to change his costume from one to the other, we can choose one of his costumes from the backdrop and drag it into our project. For now, we're going to put these off to the side and continue. We can also change Scratch's color, or create a fisheye effect, a whirl effect, a pixelate, mosaic, brightness, or ghost effect. Feel free to play around with these. If you drag these blocks into here and click the green flag, you can see what these effects do. Just by changing the numbers, you can change things like the color of Scratch the Cat, a whirl effect, which causes him to twist around, a fisheye effect, which causes him to fisheye or bulge, a pixelate effect, which turns Scratch into a set of pixels, a mosaic effect, which turns Scratch into a block of smaller scratches, a brightness block, which causes Scratch to become brighter or darker, and a ghost effect, which causes Scratch the Cat to become clear or transparent. We also have a block to clear any of these graphic effects, so that way it'll reset anytime we click on the green flag. We also have blocks that change the size of Scratch the Cat to make him bigger or smaller. Negative numbers will make Scratch the Cat get smaller. Or we can also manually set the size of our object or sprite just by typing in a percentage. 100% will reset it back to its original size. We've also got some blocks like go to front and go back 1 layer that work very similarly to Photoshop layers. If you have more than one object in your on your stage, you can move that object so that it shows up in front of Scratch the Cat or behind Scratch the Cat. In this case, if I tell Scratch the Cat to go to the front, he'll appear in front of my soccer ball. If I say to go back, he'll move back behind the soccer ball. We've also got some special blocks that we'll talk about a little later. In the meantime, let's move on to our next set of blocks, the sound blocks. The sound blocks work very, very similarly to the looks blocks, except instead of costumes, we're dealing with sounds. Just like with the costumes, we have a Sounds tab at the top of the screen in the middle. The Sounds tab lets you play sounds or create your own sounds just by clicking the buttons for playing, stopping, or recording. You can also load sounds from the Scratch library, create your own sounds using your microphone on your computer, or loading sounds from files that you already have on your computer. We're just going to use the default meow sound for Scratch the Cat and play some scripts that cause Scratch to meow when we click the green flag. The first few blocks are easy. They just play the sound that we choose from the drop-down. By default, we have our meow sound. If I drag that into my workspace and click the green flag, Scratch the Cat will meow. If I drag the block, play sound until done, Scratch will only play the sound effect once each time that I click on the green flag and wait for that sound to finish before it can play again. We also have a block to stop all sounds, so that as you get into more advanced projects, you can cut off the sounds completely. The next set of blocks are for playing music using drums and notes. We're not going to cover these in depth, but if you want to play around with them, you can try dragging them into your workspace and hitting the green flag to see what those sounds sound like. You can also change instruments for note blocks, and change the duration for both notes and beats to play them longer or shorter. We also have blocks to change volume, so you can change volume down by using negative numbers, up by using positive numbers, or use this block to set your volume to a specific percent. 100% is the default. When you start using drums and notes, you also have tempo blocks that you can use to change the tempo of your music to speed it up or slow it down. If you want to see some examples of music made with Scratch, feel free to search the Scratch homepage for other projects that make music in Scratch. We won't be using these for our exercises today, but feel free to play around with them later. Alright, go ahead and play around with the looks blocks and the sound blocks for a little bit. When we get back, we're going to talk about how to create an actual exercise that makes changes and is interactive based on what you do.